there everyone, welcome to Coco and I, my crochet channel. Of course I am Coco, and the reason I want to start this channel is because I would like to help others who are struggling with crochet, because I've struggled with crochet when I first started. I actually wanted to give up, and I first started crochet. I tried to crochet in December of 2023, very late December, and then it really didn't click until January 2024. So I've been crocheting for only like basically a year and a half now, almost. And I still struggle, so I'm still learning, obviously. I've crocheted a lot. I've crocheted a lot of things that most people who are just starting out or most people who started crocheting years ago haven't even done. And some of those things are a skirt for myself. I crocheted at least 3 sweaters. I crocheted tons of hats. I crocheted an apron. Of course, amigurumi, tons of amigurumis. A cat bed. Of course, blankets. Everyone crochets blankets. That's like the go-to for crocheters. Excuse me. And I would love to help others along with that. And then with this channel also, maybe you can learn with me. We will learn together. I have a lot of old, really old magazines from years ago, like the 20s, that are, bags and some other things that I would love to show others how to do. And also we can learn how to read certain patterns, because there's patterns out there that are just like symbols. They're not shorthand words or anything like that. They're just symbols, and I've never tried that before. So maybe we can learn together with that. And there's a lot of tips, a lot of things that I wish I knew when I first started crocheting, because I would have saved myself a lot of frustration and time if I had knew these things beforehand. So hopefully I can be of some help to everybody. All right, so let's get started. All right, the very first thing you'll need when you start crocheting is an idea. And as a first timer, I would recommend maybe trying with a blanket. Blanket is easy, and that's how I started. Most people start with a granny square, but I found that to be difficult. I got very frustrated with that. It's going to take some time. So I think maybe the basics and a blanket. You don't even have to be a full-size blanket. It could just be little squares for now. Like not actual granny squares, but just squares. We could start out doing that, and that's perfectly fine. So, being said, have an idea. So let's start, as an example, just a baby blanket. Now, what you're going to need for this baby blanket, of course, is yarn. And the type of yarn that you'll need, well, if you're going to make a baby blanket, they have their own category, so you don't have to worry about that. It's baby blanket stuff. But if you're going to do something in particular, I would highly recommend you do your research first, because for days I tried crocheting a cat bed, and the patterns I got, I just did not have the right yarn. Even though the pattern required a size 4 yarn, but it wasn't thick enough. And see, when you get your yarn, it'll tell you what size yarn it is, medium 4. And that, with the 2 hooks, that is obviously knitting. That is crochet. So this is a 5.5 millimeter hook, but let's move on. Let's just skip that for now. So this is a size 4 medium worsted yarn. I think worsted yarn is a more softer type yarn. I see there's all different styles of yarn, and of course they're all different sizes as well. Like this right here. This is a size 6. I don't know how to pronounce that. Chenille, I guess. and it's like a softer, thicker yarn. I haven't worked with this kind of yarn yet, but so I think this is also a size 4 yarn. And it doesn't really, I don't know what kind of yarn this is, but this is a size 4. See, medium 4. And this is a medium 4. But with this is the other medium 4. And obviously they're different kinds of yarn. They're different kinds of yarn. But look at the size and the texture. They're completely different. So if someone says, "Oh well, to make a skirt, you're gonna need a size 4 yarn," they don't tell you what kind. So you go to the store, you be like, "Oh well, I like this color or I like this color," and well, this would require less, but this one would require more. It would just turn out differently. So you really have to know what kind of yarn to use for your project. You don't want to go down the road that I went, trying to crochet hats and sweaters and cat beds and just not having the right yarn. So, when you do that, make sure you pick the exact yarn. Do your research. Make a skirt. Make sure the pattern you have is the right material. Make sure that the material you get isn't scratchy or itchy. Make sure it's not going to get damaged in the washing machine or anything like that, or in the rain, anything. You know what I mean? Just do your research on different kinds of yarn. That way you don't waste time like I have. So that's that. So once you get your yarn, let's say you're doing a baby blanket. Once you get your yarn, let's just use that for now because that's what I meant to buy. I thought this was a bigger skein, but it is what it is. I bought this specifically for this tutorial, just to show you guys how to work with this stuff. I just figured it's a neutral color, easier to see. Okay, so now that we have that, now it's moving on to hooks. Actually, going back to yarn real quick, this yarn right here, this is from the Dollar Tree. So if you are starting out, the Dollar Tree has amazing arts and crafts supplies. I would recommend trying that first. That way, you don't spend so much money on things that you can't use yet or that you're going to screw up. So that's something else that I can recommend. And it is pretty decent yarn. It is pretty good. They have hooks. They have, I've never seen stitch markers yet, but they're not that expensive. So moving on that. Plus with stitch markers, you've been using that pretty much forever unless you damage it. So hook size. So using this example again, hook size. And right here it says 5.5 for this yarn. Or we can even go back to this one. So this one is also 5.5. No, that's a 5mm. I'm sorry. Different spot. So 5.5 would be knitting needles, and the 5mm would be the crochet needle. And so with hooks, they come in different styles and sizes, of course. And your type of hook depends on what kind is more comfortable to you. You don't have to stick to a certain kind of hook just because someone said so. The first hooks I bought were wooden hooks, and I don't really recommend those too much because they snagged a lot on the yarn. I mean, it could be you could love them. You could love them, but I found that they snag. So these hooks right here, These are the plastic hooks. And I got these two at the dollar store, at the Dollar Tree. They're decent. They're not great, but the only thing is that they don't have a grip. They don't have a decent grip, so you're kind of hurting your hand. This is also plastic. This is another plastic one, but it has a grip. The only problem with this one is it's small. It's a small tip. And this one is plastic. This is a more expensive one, and this is probably a really good style as far as plastics go, because it has the length and it has the grip. And this is another plastic one. I have so many in here. This one isn't as great. It's very hard on the hands. So that's the plastics. And here's the metal. And this one's good. This is a good metal one. I happen to prefer metal, I think, because it just slides easier. That's just me. Again, like, this has a grip. The only problem is the length. This is also the metal one. The grip isn't that great, but it has the length. So that's the only thing with that. And these metal ones are the standard metal ones, but they hurt your hand. I was working with this one with the hat, and it killed my hand. I also worked with a very thick, bulky yarn, which I should not have done, but I wanted tight stitches. It just did not work out. So you would want something like that with a grip. But again, a short tip. I don't understand the short tip thing. Why? Why couldn't they have just cut it down? I don't get it. Whatever. But those are your hooks. And like I said, there's wooden ones I got from Walmart when I first started. And they just snagged. It's just completely wooden. It's literally like this one, I guess. Or this one. But it's all just, I think it's bamboo, not wood, but it's just basically all that. There's no grip on it. It's just solid, straight wood or bamboo or whatever it is. So, just pick your hooks there, and then go from there. But they definitely do come in sizes. Now, this is a big, thick one that I have. This is 10 millimeters. And this is a tiny one. This is 1. I using this for my lace gloves. So, yeah, the dollar store does have the smaller, the plastic hooks. Okay, so those are your hooks. Like I said, go to do a baby blanket, pick your yarn, and on the little sleeve here, it'll tell you what size you'll need. Size yarn and what size hooks. 5 for this one. And I recommend trying them all out. Bamboo, wooden, whatever, plastic, metal, and seeing what you prefer. So that's the basics. One more thing that you'll need with crocheting. Well, there's tons of things you need with crocheting. But those are the essentials. And of course, moving on to accessories. Now, as all kinds of different projects, of course you're going to need some scissors. And I got this at Walmart. And then you're going to need your stitch markers. Now, these are the typical style of stitch markers. There's plastic ones, rubber ones, but I don't like those because they don't click as easily. I find them everywhere on the floor, and they just don't work as well. Plus, it's hard to get the little needle point out into the yarn in order to secure it. These are the better ones, especially the big ones. You can see those. Smaller ones, obviously, for smaller ones, but I have a pack of these. And there's also fancier ones. There's very fancy stitch markers that come in different styles and designs. They have a little clasp on them, like a like you could find on a necklace. I don't like those as much because they snag onto the yarn. I have those. They're very, very cute, but like I said, they snag and they're just not as good as these. So these are pretty cheap. You can find them at Hobby Lobby. I found some at Walmart. I found some at Joann's. I miss Joann's. I really do miss Joann's. Michael's. So you can find those anywhere. And this is something that, well, okay, here. This is another thing that you'll need. These are important to get also because they will help you weave in ends. That's important to have. This is important, but it's not. It depends on what you're making. I got this at Hobby Lobby. That comes in handy. Try to make a skirt or a hat because you can unravel it. And there's large numbers, small numbers, so that comes in handy with that. And there's other things that you can get that might be important. This right here is a stitch counter. You just wear it on your finger like that. That way you can keep track. And I would also recommend maybe writing down your rows or your numbers, if even with this, or if you don't want to buy this, writing it down at least. This is a little bit easier because as you crochet, you do 5, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That way you have it right there. And with this, there's something else that comes with this that is completely free but hard to obtain, and that is peace and quiet. I don't know how many times I've sitting there crocheting and somebody wants to talk my head off because they think that I'm not using my brain. I am literally counting in my head. I'm counting in my head and they want to talk. Talk. And what happens is, say 26, 27, 28, 29, in your head, they're talking to you and you'll be like, out loud, 30, 31, 32, 33. But no, they just don't get it and don't understand that, we're trying to work and we need quiet. I mean, it all depends too. If you're used to certain stitches, if you're used to certain styles, maybe you can handle it. I know I can't. I mean, it depends. It really depends on the what I'm doing. If I'm doing a baby blanket with just double crochet, I have no problem with talking because it's simple. It's just counting certain rows, doing a double crochet. It's not complicated. It's just easy peasy lemon squeezy stuff. And so those are, I want to say, the more important things that you'll need besides the stitch marker and the ruler. So there's 3 more things that you might need that I haven't gotten yet. I did order some compression gloves because once you start crocheting, especially if you crochet a lot, you're going to realize that your hands start to hurt. You're going to get arthritis in them. So compression gloves might be the option for you. And honestly, even if you decide not to get compression gloves, I would highly recommend you go to sit there and crochet for an hour, get up after that hour, and take a break. Massage your hands. Do something to make sure that your hands are nice and comfortable because your hands are important, especially if you're going to do these things. Have your own business, whatever. You're going to need, of course you're going to need your hands to be comfortable. So get compression gloves. And even if you get compression gloves, I would still recommend, getting up and taking a break every now and then. So that leaves us with 2 last things that I'm going to tell you that you should get. And these are completely optional. I'm not going to put it on the counter, but I call it a spaghetti bowl. it's a glass bowl that has a little swirly, and it's meant for the yarn to go in there so that when you crochet it, it doesn't fling all over them. Because I have had skeins of yarn fly all over the room when I'm trying to yank the yarn, trying to crochet. The only problem with these spaghetti bowls, I don't know what the proper term is. It's just a yarn bowl. I call them spaghetti bowls because it's a bowl of spaghetti to me. The only problem with these is that with these skeins like this, it doesn't work as well. If it's a ball, a literal yarn ball, it works perfectly. And last but not least, the ring. These rings, you just put on your finger, obviously. This ring I got online or from Amazon, and you just stick your yarn in there, and it just helps with, see, it just helps with the yarn so that it doesn't rub against your skin. Because, well, it isn't the skin that rubbing against my yarn, it's the hook. So maybe getting a band-aid too, and the compression gloves will help. But this will help the yarn not getting rug burn from the yarn. And that's adjustable. A little pack of these comes with all those things, you know, stitch markers, the rings, and the yarn needles. So that's a little kit. That's really cute. With a lot of stuff. Not too expensive either. Pretty cheap. Very helpful. All right, so there are tons of different stitches. I'm still learning a lot of these stitches. So like I said, maybe I can learn with you. Because I did ask Chat GPT what kind of stitches there are, and oh my god, it was just nonstop. It was just a big long list of different stitches, and I think people are coming out with new stitches every day. I don't know. People are creating their own stitches, like, oh, check this out, check this out. So it's going to take a lot to catch up. You don't have to learn it all, but at least have some idea. Especially with the basics. Of course, everyone's going to know that. It's like math, you know what I mean? You're going to need the basics. Okay, so I'm going to start with the basics for this. And like I said, I'm not going to do a granny square because it's too complicated, in my opinion. We can learn that later. But for now, I just want to start with the basics here. Alright, so this yarn requires a 5mm hook. So, with crochet, there's different ways to start. And by the way, just a fun fact, the term crochet comes from croc in Old French, which means to hook. So, we're hookers. Just saying. Let's get started with this. So, really quick, I'm going to show you how to do a magic ring. And magic ring is the foundation of a granny square amigurumi kit. I got this from the dollar store. It comes with your plastic needle, your yarn needle, yarn, stuffing, crochet hook, and plastic beads for the eyes. This is a cute little kit. I wouldn't recommend this for a first timer, but go for it if you want. There's tons of amigurumis, and there's also, you know, I mean, just a kit. You can always find a different pattern without a kit and do it yourself. Just need cotton and, you know, stuff for things like eyes and everything. We can do that. We can definitely do that later. So I have these two 5mm hooks. I will guess I'll try to use the plastic first because it can snag. Might be more comfortable on my fingers. So let's do a magic ring. And so this is something that a lot of people struggle with. So I'm going to try my best to do this very slowly to show everyone how to do this. So this is how I do it. There's tons of different ways to do it. This is how I do it. Try to go as slow as possible. So what you're going to do is take the yarn like that. And I'm sorry, this is going to be right-handed yarn, not left. So I'm going to wrap the yarn like so. Two, your index in your middle, wrap it so that you have two on your fingers. You're going to take your hook and make sure the hook is downwards, down. And then you're going to place the hook underneath the first strand. And then you're going to put it over the second, like that. And then you're going to pull. Pull that second strand through that first strand. And while you have it like that, twist it. So now that yarn, that strand is on your hook. And you're going to go up top and put it in between those two strands. And grab that second strand. And you're going to pull. This is not going to work. I have to try it with the metal because this is not going to cooperate with me right now. So let's try it again, and hopefully it doesn't screw up this time. You can do it any way you feel comfortable with. Remember, go underneath that first strand, grab that second strand and pull through, turn, and twist. Now you're going to go up under that first strand closest to you, yarn over, and pull through. And there you have your magic ring. And with your magic ring, you would, yarn over and chain, and then work into your magic ring. And with the magic ring, you can pull this little strand here and make it tighter. That way, when you do certain crafts, certain projects, that little hole can reduce to very, very small. You don't have a big gaping hole. And if you can't do a magic ring for certain projects that require a magic ring, you can do a chain and then a slip stitch. And you do a chain of 4. You normally, I guess it all depends on how big you want the hole, but you do a chain of 4, and then you slip stitch into the first chain, creating a ring, like so. And this is, I'll show everyone how to do a slip knot, 2 different styles, the way I do it. And then I'll show everyone how to do a chain in 1 second. So this is a 3-chain slip knot, a magic ring. And this is just for people who can't get the magic ring straight away. It took me a while to understand magic ring, but I got it down pat now. So that's a little small. And that's the basics. You just find a little hole there. That's a little too small. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's all different ways you can do certain things. You don't have to follow this, but it's just tutorial for beginners. Like I said, I learn as I go with you guys as well. Even that's kind of small, but there's that little hole right there. And then you just work into that tiny little hole. And there's basically your ring. So that's how you do that. But for now, we're going to just, and of course, as I start doing these videos, I will work with you each time so that you are sure what you're doing. For now, I'm going to show you how to do everything. So get your yarn, slip knot. There's so many different ways to do a slip knot. I'm going to tell you my ways, and I will do the hardest first and then the easiest. So for me, it's not hard for me, but it might be confusing for you. Here's the first way. Make a loop, and you're going to twist. Put your fingers into that loop and twist. And then with your fingers, you're going to grab that long yarn, your working yarn, and then pull. So there is your slip knot. Let's try it again. So grab that, make a loop, twist, and then grab your yarn. I'll try it again one more time. I think I did that kind of fast. What's a loop? That, twist, and grab. Oops. There we go. And there's a slip knot. And a slip knot, you know, you tighten this and you move along with that. So some people crochet like this. I cannot crochet like that. I crochet like this. That's how I crochet. It all depends. You can do this way, you can do that way, you can do however way you want. And then you hold your yarn like that. Make sure you keep it on your finger, your index finger, make it slide easily. Use the ring if you want. If you don't want that little rug burn on your finger, you can use that. That way it goes in like that, and you're not. Once you get used to it, I'm not used to it. I haven't really used it too much. The only thing I'm worried about is is arthritis in my hands. I'm waiting for my compression gloves, so, but that comes in handy. It could come in handy, especially for a very thin yarn, kind of probably digging into your skin because you're holding tension. That's another thing when you crochet. This yarn, this side here, you're pulling tight. It's going to be tight stitches. It's going to be very hard to work into. It's going to be neater because it's going to be tight stitches. You're going to be working a lot more, but it all depends on what you're doing. And also, of course, you don't want it very loose, so tension in this side. So let's see. So let's do a slip knot. Oh, I forgot to show you the easier way to do a slip knot too. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Keep forgetting stuff. All right, so you're gonna take this yarn and you're gonna wrap it around your fingers like that. And you're gonna grab. Let's move that here. All right, so you're gonna grab this second yarn here, and you're gonna pull it over the first yarn, so it's like that. And then you grab the second yarn here, and pull it over the first yarn, that, and then you're gonna grab that other yarn and tug. So you grab this little tail, tug it, and have your slip knot. So let's try that one more time. So wrap your yarn around your fingers twice, your index and your middle. You're gonna grab that second yarn and put it over the first. Grab that first yarn and pull it over the second. Grab that first yarn again and then pull through. Keep practicing. If you don't get it, don't get too frustrated. It will take some time. If you got it from the start, good for you. That's I'm not being sarcastic. That sounded really sarcastic. I'm not being sarcastic. Good for you, seriously, because I struggle so much. So let's try that again. Oops. Make sure you just have enough working, enough tail, because it will go through. So, okay, so once you have your slip knot, like I said, tension. You can hold your hook however you want, and tension in this on this side. So, the basic to every crochet work is, of course, chains. So since we're doing a basically a square, not a granny square, square, we're going to start with a chain. So So let's start with a chain. I'm going to say 17. And I heard in crochet work, it's best to start off with an odd number when you do chains. So let's do a 17. So how to do a chain. So you have, hold on, keep this yarn here. Keep the tail away with your thumb and your middle. Make sure that you have the working yarn over your index. Hold your hook. And you're going to put the hook underneath that working yarn. It's called a yarn over. So unlike that, grab it with the hook and pull through. That is a chain 1. Let's try it again. Yarn over. Remember, hook underneath yarn. Yarn over. Grab and pull through. That's a 2. I'm going to do it very slowly so that you can go along. Yarn over. 3. Yarn over. 4. Yarn over. 5. Yarn over. 6. Yarn over. 7. 8. Okay, so that is our chain. Now, for a first timer, if you're doing a blanket, you might want to use a stitch marker, and some people don't even have actual stitch markers. Some people just use a piece of yarn, and that might be better if you're doing something very delicate, because it could snag. These regular stitch markers could snag. But if you want to use a stitch marker, then by all means, definitely do it. But if you're going to start a first timer, you're going to do a blanket, I would recommend using a stitch marker to mark where you started off with. So let's mark. Usually when we do these things, the second chain from hook is where they usually start off with when they crochet something. So just mark that. You don't have to, but it's just I want to stitch the last one too, just so you know where you left off with, so you don't mess up, because I've messed up so many times. It's just really helpful advice. So a slip stitch. Let's do a few slip stitches around here. A slip stitch is pretty simple. So, and it's just pretty much the basic of connecting your yarn to other parts of the yarn. So we're going to slip stitch. So remember, with the yarn around your index and your hook in your other hand, you're going to insert the hook into that middle part of the stitch and then pull through. So now you have 2 yarns on your hook. So you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through. Now you have 2 more, you have other 2 yarns on there, but you're going to pull through the first yarn so that you get 1 yarn back on there. Let's try that again. So insert your hook into the stitch, into that chain, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through again. Try it one more time. Insert your hook into the stitch, so you have 2, yarn over, pull through, and then you have 2 again. But you're going to yarn over, you're going to pull through again, so you have 1. And that is a slip stitch. And then we're going to do a single crochet. Single crochet is not, it's very difficult. It's not difficult, but it's not as therapeutic. I find crocheting to be very therapeutic. but more so I find double crochet to be very therapeutic. So for the slips, for the single crochet, what you do is insert your hook into the stitch, into the chain. You have 2 yarn on your hook. Yarn over, pull through so that you have 2 loops on your hook. Unlike the slip stitch, we're not going to pull this loop through the second loop. We're going to yarn over, and then we're going to pull through the 2 loops. Okay, let's do that again. So insert your hook into the first stitch. You have two loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through. So you're gonna have 2 loops on your hook again. Yarn over again, and pull through 2. That is a single crochet. Let's try it one more time. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through last 2. Okay, so now we did that. Now we're going to work on half double crochet. And this is American terms because the UK terms are a little different. I don't know what other kind of terms there are, but this is the US terms. So a half double crochet. Yarn over, insert your hook into that chain. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. So you're going to yarn over again and pull through. Then you have 3 loops on your hook again. But you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. That's a half double. Try it again. Yarn over, insert your hook. You have 3, yarn over again, pull through, 3 more loops, yarn over, and pull through 3. Try that one more time. Yarn over, insert your hook, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops again, yarn over, and pull through 3. So that is a half double. Now on to a double crochet. In UK, I think it's a treble crochet. So this is for double crochet. And in UK, I think it's treble. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over again. We can get three loops. Yarn over again, pull through, 3 more loops, yarn over again, pull through 2. So now you have 2 remaining. Yarn over again and pull through the last 2. And that is a double crochet. Try it again 2 more times. Yarn over, insert your hook. Then you have 3, yarn over again, pull through. So you have 3 more. Yarn over again, pull through 2. So you have 2 remaining. Yarn over and pull through the last 2. Right? One more time. Yarn over, insert your hook. So you have 3, yarn over again, pull through, yarn over again, pull through 2. You have 2 left, yarn over, and pull through the last 2. So that is a double crochet. Those are the basics. There's so many different ones, and a treble crochet, I can show you a treble crochet really quick, but with the treble crochet, you're not really going to use that as much. Maybe only in certain patterns and styles and all that. But this is basically a treble crochet. Like I said, I'll just show you real quick because it's not the basics. So it's just yarn over and then yarn over again. Insert your hook. So now you have 4 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, pull through, 4 again, yarn over, pull through 2, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. You have 2 left, yarn over and pull through the last 2. That is a treble crochet in US terms. So that's what basically we created for now. It's nothing, it's just a tutorial till we get onto different things. And there's a lot of guides out there that can show you. Once we start doing a blanket, I will start with this, oh, not a blanket, but just squares. I will show you the basics in turning, because when you do a square or something, blanket, you're going to, when you get to the end, you're going to chain 1 for a single crochet and then turn. For a half double, you're going to chain 2 and turn. For a double, you're going to chain 3 and turn. And it just allows you to easily turn better. And it doesn't create some kind of weird stitch. And of course, the higher up, like half double, would be a 4 or chain 4. But that's something that I wasn't told either. I wasn't told, oh, well, this is what you have to do and this is why you have to do it. That's the only problem. They say, oh, well, do this. And it's like, why do this? You're not telling me why. Hopefully I can clear that up for everyone. And this is just the basic things. And if I forget anything, that I will definitely tell you in another video. Hopefully this kind of helped you out in a way. Because I learned about the whole yarn thing and I got so frustrated because I wasted so much time trying to figure out why my cat bed wasn't standing up. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and end this video, and I really hope you enjoyed my tutorial. I hope you got something out of it, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you for tuning in. Happy crocheting!